Farewell to the God of War. Episode 24. Osir's face was full of sincerity and love. Ordinary girls must agree to such a romantic proposal. But the woman in front of Ashur is not ordinary. After a while, Sassy's mood was stable. She looked at him with complicated look. "I'm sorry." There was a touch of disappointment in Ashur's eyes. "I see," Ashur said with a bitter smile. At this moment, he felt his heart was like dripping blood. Even when the bullet went through his chest, he did feel so painful. Looking at Ashur's lost appearance, Sassy was also very uncomfortable. She walked forward, slightly leaned down and helped Ashur up. "Ashur, I hope you can understand that the reason why I want to be with you is not love, but my daughter," Sassy softly said and looked at Ashur. "I can't accept you for the time being, but it doesn't mean that I won't in the future. I hope you can give me some time, okay?" The first half of Sassy's sentence hurt Ashur much, but the second half made Ashur happy. "Okay," Ashur said excitedly, "I can wait until you are willing to accept me." Sassy couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Her mind was very contradictory. When she saw Ashur kneeling down on one knee to propose to her, she was moved. But she kept being rational. After all, there was no emotional foundation between them except that night 5 years ago. Meanwhile, at a cafe opposite Golden Palace, Xander Wu stood in front of the large transparent glass window. Looking at the grand occasion at the gate of Golden Palace, he felt incomparable emotion in his heart. "Mr. Wu, here they are," the driver said, then quietly left. As soon as Xander turned back, he saw the middle-aged woman come to him quickly. She took the initiative to stretch out her hand and say, "Nice to meet you, my mother-in-law." "Nice to meet you." Xander nodded politely with a smile. Then he asked, "Are you Miss Queen's mother?" Lucy quickly held Cassie beside her and said happily, "I am Lucy Lane, Cassie Queen's mother." This was the first time Lucy saw Xander. Seeing him to be so polite, she was very excited. "My daughter's father-in-law, we will be a family in the future," Lucy said with a smile. When Xander was called father-in-law at first time, he thought that he had heard wrong. But this time he confirmed that he had heard it correctly. He asked in doubt, "Wait, why you call me your daughter's father-in-law?" Lucy thought that Xander might thought it was too early to call him father-in-law. She took Cassie's hand and said, "When Cassie marries your son, we will be family. If you think it's too early to call you my daughter's father-in-law, I'll call you Mr. Wu now. After they get married." "Hold on." Before Lucy finished speaking, Xander quickly interrupted and looked puzzled. "Mrs. Lane, did you misunderstand anything?" "No. Haven't you sent betrothal gifts?" "I discussed with my husband about it. We are very glad with the marriage," Lucy said with a smile. Xander realized that and quickly explained, "Mrs. Lane, you really misunderstood. The betrothal gift was given to your eldest daughter Sassy." "What?" Lucy looked surprised. The expression on Cassie's face was frozen. When the Wu family gave betrothal gifts, she was dreaming about the life after she married into the rich family. Until today, she found out that those things were not given to her at all. For a time, she was extremely lost. Lucy was just a little surprised and embarrassed. Then she gave a smile. "It's okay. Anyway, they're both my daughters. You don't need to worry about Sassy's marriage. I'll let them go through the divorce procedures tomorrow." Xander was so shocked that he said quickly, "Madam, don't. I think Mr. Young and your eldest daughter are well matched. They are made for each other. Don't separate them." "Mr. Wu, what do you mean? Didn't you just say that the betrothal gift is for my eldest daughter? Why don't you let her get divorced? How can she marry into the Wu family if she doesn't get divorced?" Lucy's face was full of doubts. Xander didn't know Ashur's status at Queen family. He wanted to be nice to Asher at the auction, but the man didn't notice him at all, so he thought of circuitous tactics to deal with his wife and family first. Thinking of that, he almost exposed Asher's identity. Xander broke out in a sweat. He wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and quickly explained, "Mrs. Lane, you misunderstood that. I have only 2 daughters and no son." "What?" Lucy suddenly stood up. She thought Xander's son was fond of Cassie. She was so happy for a long time. But now she realized that she had made a mistake. Xander had no son at all. She looked lost and asked, "Why did you send betrothal gifts?" Lucy felt a little angry and thought that she had been made a fool of. Xander turned his eyes. He said, "Madam, you must be mistaken. Those gifts are not betrothal gifts, but my thanks to your son-in-law." "Thanks to my son-in-law? You mean, Asher?" Lucy's eyes were full of wonder. Xander nodded, "Yes, Mr. Young. He once helped the Wu family, so I sent a generous gift to express my gratitude. I'm very sorry for the misunderstanding caused to you." Xander thought in his heart. If it was not for the help of Owen family, there would be no present Wu family. Asher was the successor of the Owen family. There should be no problem. Cassie's mind was full of loss. She gave a bitter smile. "So I thought too much." With that, she turned to the glass window and looked up at rose petals flying in the sky and the colorful fireworks. Her eyes were full of envy. In the evening, Sassy went home. She was stopped. "Lucy. Sassy, it's your wedding anniversary. Didn't Asher give you any gifts?" Sassy gave a soft smile, and everything happened in Golden Palace suddenly came to her mind. "What are you laughing at?" Seeing that Sassy didn't speak, Lucy was a bit anxious. Sassy said helplessly, "Mom, don't you want me to divorce Asher? Why do you want him to give me a memorial gift?" Lucy gave Sassy an angry look and said, "Do you remember those betrothal gifts that the Wu family sent to us half a month ago?" Sassy said doubtfully, "Didn't you say that those are the betrothal gifts given by Wu family to Cassie?" "No, we have made a mistake. Those things are actually a gift to Asher. Mr. Wu said that Asher helped Wu family." "How could that be possible?" Lucy didn't believe it. "Mom, what are you trying to say?" Sassy asked. "If Asher really helped Wu family, he must have a lot of money. These are all your marital property, and half of them are yours. You should contact him now to clarify the division of the property, or you will see him in court." Lucy's eyes shone, as if she had seen a lot of money. Episode 25. Hearing Lucy's words, Sassy was angry. "Mom, when did I say I will divorce him? Even if he really has a lot of money, it has nothing to do with me." Saying that, Sassy turned to leave. After a long pause, Lucy suddenly looked at David, who was reading newspapers. She roared angrily, "You just read newspapers all the time. What's your daughter's attitude? Don't you care?" David directly slapped the newspaper on the tea table and said angrily, "It's all here, don't you understand? Asher is no longer a loser at that time. Why do you think Xander Wu would be polite to you? Would Xander Wu know who you are if it wasn't for the loser you talked about?" Lucy's eyes widened. Sassy had just yelled at her, and now even her husband, who has always been obedient to her, dared to yell at her. "What have I done in my last life? Why did I meet a husband and daughter like you? I can't bear it." Lucy burst into tears. David felt annoyed and turned back to his room. Lucy was left in the whole hall alone. "I don't care about the relationship between that bastard and Xander Wu. I only know that he is a loser. I must let him go out of the family." There was no one in the hall. Lucy did not pretend to be pitiful. She looked ferocious. The Never-End Hill, the largest mansion in Jiangnan. From the bottom to the top of the mountain, there was only a road around the mountain to the mountain. At this time, a man stood in front of a huge French window, had a clear view of the night scene of Jiangnan. "It's time to make something to Queen family," Asher suddenly said. Then, he made a phone call. "Make some trouble for Queen family." "Yes, Chairman." The other end of the phone replied in a hurry. Early the next morning, the old master had just got up when a figure broke in without knocking at the door. "Grandfather, it's terrible." Paulo looked very pale. "Don't make a fuss." The old master scolded unhappily and then said, "I have taught you since you were a child. You should not be too flustered no matter what happens. If you don't change your impetuous temperament, how can I trust you and take the family into your hands?" "Granddad, it's a big deal. The factory has been sealed and production has been suspended." Paulo was flustered. The old man, who had just taught to be calm, couldn't sat still. He stood up and said angrily, "The factory is closed? What happened?" Paulo shook his head. "El just got the news and I came to tell you. Not only the factory was closed, but also the bank told that our company is facing the crisis of bankruptcy. We must pay off the loan today, otherwise we will be put into jail." When the old master heard the news, he was stunned and his breath was very short. "Grandfather." Paulo was shocked and quickly helped the old man keep his balance, who swayed gently. In this case, someone is definitely playing tricks. Otherwise, how could the factory be closed? How can the bank suddenly demand debts? After a long time, the old master regained his consciousness. He was sober a little. Paulo gritted his teeth and said, "We don't have any inventory at all. A lot of money is spent on the raw materials. Now the factory is shut down, which will cause great losses to us. In addition, those partners will ask us for goods. Once we can't supply goods, they will not only cancel the cooperation, but also ask us to compensate a huge amount of liquidated damages according to the contract. Grandfather, Queen family is over." The old master slapped Paulo in the face and said angrily, "It's not the end. If I hand over Queen family to you, will you give up it now?" "Grandfather, I was wrong. I will never give up." After being slapped, Paulo calmed down a lot. "This is what my grandson should be like. You have to use your brain to do everything. You can't give up until the end." Seeing Paulo's understanding, he was satisfied. Paulo thought for a moment and then said, "Grandfather, we have two things to do now. The first thing is to find a way to explain to our partners, so that they can give us a few more days. Second, we must find a way to solve the problem of funds, so we can make up the gap of loans. Yes, these are two major problems we are facing now. The first is easy to solve, but the second is very difficult. Even banks are not willing to continue lending to us, let alone other lending institutions." The old man said with a frown. "Grandfather, I think of one thing. Isn't the Wu family fond of Cassie? It is said that they received a huge betrothal gift. If we can get these things, the company's problems will be solved." Paulo suddenly said. There was joy in his eyes. The old master's gaze sharpened. He hastily urged Polly, "Go to David now and ask them to hand over the betrothal gifts to support the company immediately. When the crisis is over, they can return to the family." Paulo hesitated a little and said, "Grandfather, even if David agrees, will Sassy agree?" The old man snorted coldly, "She must agree. David is just your grandmother's illegitimate son. If it wasn't for your grandmother's sake, would have expelled them from Queen family. Will El wait until now? Now Queen family is in trouble. This is their responsibility. But what if they don't want to?" Paulo was worried. The old master's eyes narrowed slightly. "If they don't want to, let them pay back the family's kindness to them over these years." "Grandfather, I see." Paulo turned to leave. In Queen family courtyard, Sassy just had breakfast. Before she could send Chi-Chi to kindergarten, the door of the courtyard was smashed open from the outside. David was going out to have a look. A familiar figure appeared, followed by several security guards. "Why did you come?" Seeing Paolo, the whole family was very angry. Paolo, with a smile on his face, looked at David and said, "Uncle, Queen family has encountered some difficulties for the time being. My grandfather asked me to come to your home to borrow some money." David looked at Paolo coldly and said, "Queen family has expelled us from the family. Now what does it have to do with us?" "Uncle, that's not true. We are relatives after all. You can't just watch Queen family being destroyed, right?" Paolo said with a smile. "Don't you know my family has no money?" Lucy was anxious and said. Paolo said meaningfully, "Auntie, you are joking. I remember you just said last night that the Wu family visited you and sent some betrothal gifts, which were worth tens of millions of yuan." Hearing this, Lucy's look changed greatly. "These things have nothing to do with us. They are gifts from the Wu family to Asher. We are not qualified to deal with these things." Cassie came out at this time and said coldly. Episode 26. Hearing Cassie's words, Paolo sneered, "Cassie, don't look for an excuse causally to fool around us. Would Wu family, with its status, give honoraria to Asher? Believe it or not?" Cassie said coldly. Sassy's eyes were slightly red. His family was beginning to think about how to take advantage of them just after expelling them from the family less than a week. "The old master said that you will be allowed to return to family as long as you give us the betrothal gifts from Wu family," Paolo suddenly said with a smile. "Did the old master really say that?" Zhou Yutsue was overjoyed. If it was a few days ago, she would have taken the opportunity to humiliate Paolo, but she already knew the truth last night. Although all the gifts from Wu family were in her hands, they would surely be taken away by Wu family if Asher asked them to do that, and then she would have nothing. Paolo said with a disdainful smile, "The old master said it himself, or do you think I deceive you? Of course, the premise is that you are willing to give us the tens of millions of betrothal gifts. Maybe the old master will let uncle be the master of the house if he is happy, so you can catch this opportunity by only throwing the betrothal gifts." Paolo deceived Lucy without a little bit shame, so she even were ready to agree him. "What if we refuse?" Cassie's eyes were full of firmness. "Shut up!" Lucy yelled at her. Cassie looked disappointed. "Mom, do you forget how they drove us out of Queen family and how my elder sister begged them? They won't think of us unless the family is in trouble. Do you really think they will admit us to go home?" Sassy was also disappointed with Lucy, saying with red eyes, "Mom, those things are Asher's, so what rights do you have to deal with them? Aunt, I know that you are in charge of your own family. Since my two younger sisters are against it, you should make a decision. After all, this is your only chance to return to our family, but you will have no hope when our family turns the corner." Paolo induced Lucy step by step. "I respect the opinions of my two daughters. I won't go back to Queen family. David has long been disappointed on his family. There was no blood relationship between him and the old master in Queen family. He went to Queen family with his mother in his young age. The old man never regarded him as a member of his family all the time, and he even permitted him to work in the company of Queen family." "David, what are you talking about? This is our only chance to go home." Before Lucy finished, David said angrily, "What are you thinking? Do you still want to go back even our daughter being bullied by them? Why don't you go back on your own?" David looked angry. He didn't quarrel with his wife in daily life not for he being coward, but for the sake of family harmony. However, she had gone too far this time, even without a bottom line for her own interests. Lucy was stunned. She didn't expect David, who never refuted in their quarrels, to dare to roar at her. After a long time, she came to her senses. She cried and said, "I can't stay in this family anymore. I want to divorce you." "Okay. I agree to divorce," David said very hard. Come on, stop acting in front of me. Just tell me directly whether you agree to take out the betrothal gifts. I don't have time to watch you perform here. Paolo said with a sneer. In his opinion, Lucy and David were acting. Go away. David said angrily, now get out of here. What kind of bullshit Queen family is? We don't care it. After finishing his words, he picked a broom up beside the wall and threw it towards Paolo. As Paolo raised his eyebrows, 2 security guards behind him rushed forward, one left and one right, and David was immediately pressed down to the ground. Dad! Sassy and Cassie were shocked, rushing up to their father. Today, you must give us the betrothal gifts no matter you agree or not. Paolo said coldly, and gave an order, rush in and move them away. With Paolo's order, several security guards rushed directly into the room. Soon, 2 security guards came out carrying a box, which was the box sent by Wu family last time. It was full of gold and silver jewelry and more than 1 million cash. In addition, there were property certificates and stock certificates. At first, Paolo thought that there were only tens of millions of betrothal gifts, but when seeing the things in the box, he knew that the total value of these things would be over $100 million. Haha, Queen family's trouble can be solved. The money will be enough for Queen family to deal with all the crises now if we sell all these things. Paolo said with a laugh. Since Sassy was expelled from Queen family, no one in there was qualified to compete with Paolo for power. Since the old man was getting older and older and was about to die, Queen family may be handed down to him sooner or later. Paolo, stop. Looking at the box was carried away. Sassy and Cassie were both angry, chasing up. But Paolo brought a lot of people, so how could 2 weak women stop them? Everything was robbed, and even the Maserati was driven away by Paolo. It's you, such a bitch, flaunted it in front of Queen family. Now, there's nothing left. David slapped Lucy in the face and roared angrily. David, you dare to beat me? Lucy covered her face, looking incredible. You deserve it. Now everything is stolen by Paolo. If Asher asks you for it now, how can you explain it to him? David said angrily. He is just a waste. Why should I explain it to him? Lucy angrily rebuked, and suddenly thinking of something, she quickly took Sassy's hand, saying, Sassy, Paolo just said that we can come back to Queen family as long as we give betrothal gifts to them, so you should go to your grandfather now. Sassy looked annoyed, directly broke away from her arm, and coldly said, It's you who want to go back to Queen family, so come to him by yourself. Sassy has been completely disappointed to Queen family since that day when the old master drove them away, even though she knelt down in the heavy rain and begged for him. Sassy turned around and left home. Lucy quickly took Cassie's hand. Without waiting for her to speak, Cassie shook off her hands and said angrily with red eyes, Don't you understand? Now it's only you who want to go back to Queen family. In this case, you can go and ask for it yourself. Finishing her words, Cassie left without returning back. David snorted heavily, and then left home as well. Only Lucy was left in the courtyard. She sat down on the ground, murmuring, Is it really my fault? Ash Young Group, top floor. Asher has known what just happened in Queen family courtyard from the call. He didn't care the betrothal gifts sent by Wu family, but his patience with Queen family disappeared gradually with their actions. Since you have affectation, I will make you totally despair. Asher suddenly said. For more episode. Don't forget to subscribe.